What's happening, guys? Welcome to the Ratcave, and welcome, as per usual, to my main boy, Matt Reay. Just woken him up from his slumber in his bunk bed in the corner, as he's now
residency.
Pretty much, moved into the Ratcave. But so you're here with me today, mate. You're flying the Akai flag today. Sure with this brand new beast, the Akai Force.
That's right.
Yeah, so I've seen a couple of bits and bobs on this already that's online with a few other people, a few other retailers and stuff, which is just pure performance. So what I wanted to do with you today is literally start from the very bottom and just, basically you tell me how this thing works, you know, what it can be used for, all of its kind of, you know, basically, let's start from the very bottom, build all the way up to not the massively complicated stuff, but let's make a tune, mate.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, let's
do
it.
All right, wicked.
So as you know, Akai, huge in the world of standalone music production hardware, and this is the newest iteration of that, the Akai Force. So we're borrowing lots of different workflows from the MPC range, but also now we're implementing a lot of modern workflows that we're used to in the kind of the clip launching kind of style. So for those of you who use Ableton Live, that workflow will be very familiar to you.
Yeah, so I use Ableton Live myself.
Yeah. And it's all about live jamming, live remixing, rearranging on the fly, that kind of thing. A very intuitive way of working. So we're bringing the two worlds together essentially. That's why you have the touch screen here, where we can navigate through all our plugins, all our mixer settings, and all our sample edit settings with the 64-grid clip matrix here.
Awesome.
So if you can see on the top of the screen here, I've got an empty project. If I just tap this plus icon here, we can see what a project can be composed of. So we have audio. That could be the inbuilt sample content, or it can be audio we bring in from, let's say, a USB stick or an SD card. We have our drum program. Now, if I hold down this track on track 1, I have a drum program here. If I go back again and tap my plus icon, I have a plugin. The Force ships with 4 built-in VST instruments. We have bassline, tube synth, electric, and hype. Hype's the brand new synth, which we'll talk about later.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah, cool. Key group is a multi-sample instrument, so we can basically start from scratch and populate all of our pads with, different sources of samples. Again, MIDI and CV at the end, that's for controlling any hardware synthesis over the external MIDI and CV connections. So let's close that, and you'll see I've got a project here loaded up of different elements.
So just to ask you, so when you open up a project, is this the default that it starts on, or is it like, have you got different kind of settings?
When you power up the Force, you'll have access to different templates in different genres. And if you tap empty project, you'll be greeted with something similar to this, but you'll get an empty audio track and an empty plugin track for you to build on, basically.
Cool.
So I've kind of pre-added these in before we start filming. So let's focus on the first track now, which is on my drums. So let's now try and build a pattern. Cool. I mentioned it's got lots of different workflows. As far as recording drums, we can obviously use the kind of MPC finger drumming style.
Yeah.
We can step sequence. So let's actually quickly load an idea using the finger drumming now. Now there's a couple of ways I can implement this. I can press clip and have a predetermined clip length. So I know after 2 or 4 bars, it's going to loop back around again.
Yeah, okay.
I can actually tap the empty clip slot on the screen and start recording. And it will loop around. So let's undo that now. And the final way is to hold down launch and note mode, and you'll have access to your clips and the samples together, which is kind of the way I tend to like to work.
Sure.
So I just record on this again, and let's get an idea going in. So when I tap the clip, it loops around. Now once I've finished recording a clip, if I press clip, I have access to all the MIDI notes. It's almost like a piano roll kind of look.
That's awesome, man. That's really cool.
If I press event, I can go in it even further. I can use this to lasso some notes, move them around. Or I can use the eraser tool and erase some MIDI notes. I can use the pen tool to draw some more in. I also can use the magnifying glass. And I can get really fine out with my editing as well. I can, let's say, highlight these 2 here, and then change the velocity of just those 2 drum elements. So let's move along and start building now. So let's put this back in overdub mode. So press record arm. That's in overdub mode. Let's add some more elements in. Let's get some hi-hats.
So overdub mode is literally, building on top of the like
the existing idea.
Yeah.
So within this loop, we can keep adding things in.
Yeah.
So once it turns around again now, I'll add some snare and claps. A few more hi-hats. So that's our drum. Very simply, very quickly, efficiently recorded.
Yeah, like literally.
Now, if I want to stop all the clips, I just use this button here, and that stops the whole project, essentially quantized. Now, the way clip launching works, for those who aren't familiar with it, if I quickly copy this clip down to the next row here, and I launch it, you'll hear that it actually lands on the bar end. So you'll see it coming up now at the end. Now, if I tap this, 2, 3, 4. So everything's quantized and on the beat. So let's quickly delete that. Now, on this track here...
So you would use that, for example, you could use that for like, you know, the second... If you were to use this playing live, playing a live tune, you could use that, like, say that was like the breakdown. You would launch that and then it would drop into the breakdown, stop that last section and go into that one.
Yeah, with the whole clip launching workflow, it's all about this sort of vertical way of working.
Mm-hmm.
So we're building up tracks, kind of going down A section, B section, breakdown, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But that can all be chopped and changed.
Okay.
So I'm going to skip across to my key group here. So what I've done here is I've taken an ambient loop and sampled it across the pads. It's very easy to do because it has all those same great chopping kind of sample manipulation the MPC does. So I can take one loop and spread out across the key group, basically. So let's put this back in record mode. Let's load the sample off. Let's record on track 5. And again, using this split mode, just record a pattern in. So I mentioned plugins earlier. Let's check out one of those.
It's a nice little sound, that.
Yeah.
Nice little
nice and
ambient
dreamy
sound. Yeah.
Nice and dreamy. So right now, I'm in my plugin on track 3. If I go to track edit, you'll see, using the touchscreen, I have access to what we call the plugin GUI. So GUI means graphical user interface,
GUI.
basically. Yeah, GUI.
I love that. You won't forget that, will you, GUI?
Yeah, so this also is a great example of how else note mode is implemented. So if I go back to my drum track, you'll see note mode relates to drums in this fashion. If I go to track 3 now, where my plugin is, you'll see I have this sort of combination of white pads and pink pads. Now if I go to shift and note, let's take this down another octave, or take it up actually. There we go. What you're essentially looking at is a piano mode, basically. So with our pink notes, we have our root notes. If I go to shift and note, you'll see I can have different scales. So natural minor there, I can change the root note. So let's go D flat, let's go B. I can not necessarily approach this with a formal musical training as such, but I can still explore different.
I was going to say,
ideas.
like, you know, say someone that doesn't know musical notation and stuff, they could still come and smash out a beat on this because it's you know,
absolutely.
So the different colours are your root notes, as you say, right?
Yeah. So let's say we're on this plugin here, which is an instance of the Tube Synth plugin. This is a great way to show off kind of the chords mode as well. So here, my yellow pads are my roots, and essentially the white are everything in between. So if I go to shift, you'll see I was playing a natural minor in C. If I have to major now, if I change that to major, so shift this now back to minor. And now what we'll do is we'll change this from chords to progressions. So if I hit progressions here, you can see in multiple genre styles, it will assign different progressions going from the root upwards, basically. So it changes to ballad 1.
That's great,
yep.
man.
And if we then go down to, let's say, for example, jazz 2. It's a bit more modal sounding.
Yeah.
So let's take this back to ballad 1, and we'll put this back into scales mode. So let's now record a bass line of what we've already recorded. So let's launch off these loops. So I've got them focused here, I'm plugging. So let's now go to my note mode. So let's now shift this to minor, take it down an octave.
Yeah.
And again, the great thing about this kind of clip launching workflow is as soon as I've got like the seed of an idea, I can just go, right, okay, I want to record this. So put this in record mode, track 3, just go. And again, if I want to tighten anything up, I'm just go to clip mode. And all of my MIDI events are here, basically.
That literally looks like an Ableton
the cool thing is,
sequencer, you know.
Yeah, when I'm in this mode here, whatever screen I'm focused on, you'll see that the 8 rotary encoders will be focused on whatever the screen's reflected. So here I can adjust my loop length. So now I can tighten this up now, and then launch this again.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. The cool thing about this mode as well is if I go to my matrix, press menu and track edit, go back to my plugin GUI, if I hold down knobs mode and press screen, every page that I go to on the plugin will be reflected in all of these rotaries here.
Yeah.
Basically. So I can then
so you can manipulate
exactly, yeah.
You know, all of your.
I can still use a touch screen. I can double tap, change the resonance, or just use a scroll encoder. So I've got 3 ways of manipulating the screen effectively. So that's a bass line, a melodic idea, and a drum idea recorded really quickly.
Yeah.
Also for drums, I'll just quickly mention, if I go to an empty clip slot, I can use the step sequencer as well. So stepping to it is, always been a great way to quickly record drums if you're not particularly rhythmically inclined.
Yeah, so you recorded those drums finger, like hitting them with your fingers, actually playing the pads like drums. But then in sequencer mode,
every single note essentially laid out to you in sort of empty cells, if you will.
Yeah.
So let's use the kick here and drum here now. Just do a quick 4 on the floor, and you can see the chord notes being chased along there. Yeah, simple.
Nice.
So let's undo that.
Needs more cowbell.
Definitely. It stood the test of time. Okay, cool. So there's our very quick idea. What we'll do now is we'll go to my second plugin track, and here we've got an instance of the tube synth. So let's go to note mode now. And let's put this in chords mode. Let's go to note, and let's go to chords. So I'm in my chord mode now. So again, I can just run off those loops and start recording a track, or just kind of. So again, I can then go to launch mode, or go to my matrix to view all my clips and say, right, let's record an idea there. So now we've got some empty clip slots here. Let's select this one, put this back into record mode, go to my note mode. I'll use the screen to record this time. Again, using the clip, I've got all my MIDI information there as well.
Yeah, you can edit it all in there.
Exactly,
so what you did there, you said I'll use the screen to record. It's touch screen, but then you can also press that record button there, obviously.
So if you want to record anything, it's got to be record armed, basically. So ready to be recorded. And to enable a clip, like I mentioned earlier, we can say I want a predetermined clip length, or using the matrix view, I can just tap an empty cell, or I can just use an empty cell on the launch matrix here, basically. So that's kind of how we can use the plugins to quickly record musical ideas. But again, because we have access to audio tracks, we can run, let's say, an external synth into here, and record that as an audio coming through, and also record the MIDI information from the synth as well.
Okay.
So what I'll do now is I'll quickly go to an empty audio track.
So if you've got a synth plugged into this, it won't record the synth as a audio file. You can record it as a MIDI file as well.
Well, you can do both. Yeah, you could set up a MIDI track and an audio track.
Yeah.
And let's say you want to trigger, let's say it was a small little modular synth. You have to trigger it using the pads. You set up a MIDI track and an audio track, and you have the MIDI and the audio recorded at the same time. That's a good point, because in terms of track count on this, we can have 8 audio tracks maximum, 8 plug-in tracks, and 128 MIDI tracks. So that's plenty
Yeah,
getting creative with, really.
Absolutely, man. That's a big project, eh?
So let's now go to the browser. Now the browser is kind of where that's our kind of main library system, really. So instruments, you'll find all our plugins. So you can see we've got bassline, electric, hype, and tube synth. Drum kits. Now what we'll have here is a preview of each kit as we land on it. And I can also search audio clips, MIDI clips, go to my projects and my sample content as well. So just to quickly demonstrate something, let's load in a drum clip here. So you can see that's loaded into the matrix now. And if I press clip, you can see I've got my audio information there. So I can just use the scissor tool, chop it up, and let's say I want to reverse that particular bit of audio there, real quick and simple. Pretty freaky.
Yeah, cool.
But the cool thing, it's got that MPC style workflow in terms of sampling. So now if I go to menu and sample edit, I can go into my chop mode, chop this whole thing by regions, press shift, convert to a new drum program. I can have a custom drum kit then using a sample that I've preloaded in. So let's go to my drum program, which has been made from that original sample.
Yeah.
Now, because it's been loaded into a new drum group or key group, I can go to menu, pad mixer, and apply effects to each individual sample then. But also I can go to sample edit and tighten up each of the chops as I go, really. So really powerful. So again, to my launch mode now. So I'll quickly show you Hype now. Hype is the brand new plugin.
Yeah. Hype.
So let's go to track edit. And so you now have got an instance of Hype loaded on track 7. So with Hype, what we have is multi-engine synth, basically. So all of our synths are designed by our software partners, Air Instruments.
Right.
So Hype borrows from analog synthesis, FM synthesis, so there's a lot of kind of 80s sort of synth sounds in there.
Yeah.
Subtractive synthesis and wavetabling synthesis. Now again, it sounds like a lot to take in.
It does.
Yeah. But there's over 2,000 presets in Hype. So
wow.
Again, if we just page through, you'll see kind of the flavors we've got. And as you go through, you'll be able to tell kind of where it's pulling from in terms of the type of synth. So, and again, very much like the previous synths we loaded in, we can use the scroll encoder to affect a parameter. We can tab through, and the rotary encoders will follow each of the pages. So if we load in, so I can then go record arm, track 7, just put one synth stab on there. Again, press clip, and I can move this around freely.
Yeah.
So a good thing to talk about now would be the connectivity. Being as it's a standalone unit, we have you covered in a lot of areas. So at the rear, we've got 2 combi mic line inputs. So we can record condenser mics into this. We can record, let's say, line level sources, guitars, things of that nature. We've also got, in terms of media, 2 USBs at the rear, SD at the front, and also the SATA docking drive on the rear.
Yeah. So just to explain to people about the docking drive, this is the same thing as you guys have put in the new Prime 4. The new Denon Prime 4, a similar thing. Yeah,
and indeed the MPC Live and the MPC X as well have the SATA drive.
So it's literally like a hard drive that you can put in.
So let's say, for example, we can install a 1TB SSD and have all our either library content or our projects in situ.
Yeah.
You know, it's not going anywhere. We don't have to worry about losing sticks or SD cards or things of that nature.
And then it's got the SD card as well. So, you know, if you save a project onto it or whatever, then you can take it. You don't have to take this. But so if I've got this Force connected to my Mac, can I then save project files on my Mac as well?
Well, it's completely standalone because you can save all your projects on here. If I press save, the options are to save a project, save as a plugin program, save as a track. You could save key groups you've made, save drum programs you've made.
Right.
But to kind of address your question, it's a case of it's very much without the laptop. So everything's kind of in situ. Of course, you can, you know, blow out all your WAV files and stems into, let's say, your DAW of choice, or you can bring those stems into the Force for live performance. Okay, what we'll do now is we'll just quickly page around the menu just so we can kind of get an idea of what's going on.
Yeah.
So here, XY effects is quite cool. If I just launch that one clip there. This is very much on-the-fly effects. So with effects, as they stand at the moment, if I'm in my mixer view here, which is really cool, if I go to volume, you'll see all my metering going on here. I can apply inserts to, let's say, individual tracks. So I can hold this down, load in an instance of the air channel strip. Have up to 4 inserts per track.
So by inserts, it's like 4 effects, basically.
Exactly. Yeah. 4 individual effects
per track.
Yeah. The cool thing about the Force is we have the entire Air Effects library suite in here. So again, loads of tools to get started. But the XY effects are really cool for like on-the-fly moments. So if I load up the entire row again, press setup. Now you can see we've got tons of effects here. But if I start on the beat repeat, you can see the filter. Strength is going down, and then across are the divisions.
Yeah. So this reminds me of the screen on the effects screen on the Rain 72.
Okay, well, yeah, that does have a similar XY.
Yeah.
So if you page through, we've got obviously high pass as well, and we'll have effects like phaser. And if I page through to the very end, we've got delay, high pass filter combination. We've actually included a brand new one here called tape stop. What tape stop does is it emulates the kind of final break.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. Awesome.
Which is cool. And you
can speed it up and slow it down.
Yeah. So again, because of the XY, because of the XY axis, we can have very short break.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
The cool thing is we can latch the effect as well. And that applies for all the XY effects.
Okay, cool.
So just going back to this main screen now, sampler, again, very MPC style. We can connect our chosen source to the back. And also this features the auto sampler from MPC 2.3. So that's the sampler. Also we have a looper, which is great for if using this, let's say, with guitar or you're looping with vocals.
Mm-hmm.
You can then bounce that again to a particular key group. Go back to our menu again.
So this thing would be an absolute weapon for a beatboxer.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, it's because there's so many workflows at play. It can be many things to many people. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter if you're, And the cool thing is because you've got things like the crossfader integration as well.
Yeah.
If you're using, let's say, stems alongside, you're running it with 2 media players and mixer, it can live at home in that kind of DJ setup, in the producer setup, singer-songwriter setup.
Yeah. As like a live performance tool as well, Yeah.
Yeah, and if speaking of Ableton again, it actually has the Ableton Link protocol, so we can sync the Force over Wi-Fi to an Ableton project, which is cool. Also, you have Bluetooth in there as well, so we can connect, let's say, a wireless LPD controller, and also we can connect any number of class-compliant MIDI devices to the rear using the USB as well. So if you look on the left-hand side of the screen now, we've got a button called Knobs. If I hold it down, you'll see we have access to what we can determine these rotary encoders do. So I press volume. These are basically the track strip.
What's that button called again, mate? Sorry?
Knobs.
Just checking.
So this is my channel strip now using volume. If I hold down knobs again, I've got pan. The cool thing with this mode is...
So basically, knobs turns all of these knobs into sort of you can...
A different function.
You can manipulate...
You can custom map as well. If I go to project...
You can custom map what each of these do.
Yeah. So right now you can see I have a high pass filter on the insert of my master. So right away, I've got very quick access to a high-low pass filter to affect the master. It's really simple to map. I just hold Shift, press the knobs button, and when I'm in project mode, each of these can be custom mapped to any parameter. But also you can see there's a learn button here.
Yeah.
Let's say an LPD or somewhere an MPD connected.
Yeah.
I can press learn, choose a parameter, turn the knob, and then we've got an external thing mapped as well, which is really, really cool.
Standard kind of MIDI map vibe.
So obviously with the launching way of working, we can launch the entire row, or we can dip the clips in and out.
So you can do like a live breakdown.
Exactly.
I keep kind of going to this as if you're in my head, this is a wicked tool for live performance. Yes. Creating your tune or breaking your tune down into stems and replicating it live, and obviously the crossfader and everything. So
I mean the crossfader is real simple. If we just launch that one row again, what I'm doing here is I'm just assigning the track strip to either position A or position B. And just to turn them off, you just hold the assign and then uncheck all your assignments essentially. Now if I want to copy an idea down, very simple, we just hold copy, launch, and then copy them down. And we can do it with individual clips as well. We can say copy.
Yeah, so again, like another way just to launch certain clips
Exactly,
for like a breakdown or...
So also, in the menu button, we've got our pad mixer. Now I mentioned we can apply inserts to each of the master channels. But also, if we have a multi-sampled instrument, we can assign any insert to the individual pad. So here right now, I have the drum kit that we spliced up earlier.
Yeah, the sample, yeah, cut it up.
So just the kick, I can just tap an insert, and then go back to my air channel strip, and let's put the radio EQ on this. You see the rest of the pads are unaffected.
So again, like you applied all of those, so it's 4 different effects per channel on the other one.
Yeah.
Is it 4 different effects per pad? On
Yes.
this? Okay.
So
yeah.
really powerful.
Yeah.
Really powerful.
Absolutely.
Cool. So we're already going to have some Force expansion packs available, but we can also use all of our MPC expansions with the Force as well.
Right.
So let's say, for example, the new Jack Swing kit that we released quite recently. They can be applied to the Force workflow.
I'm really happy about New Jack Swing coming back, by the way.
Great snare sound. Undeniable. So also, you can see on the left-hand side, we have a button called Navigate. So if I'm in clip mode and go to Navigate, if I have a particularly quite expansive project, if I'm using this to play an entire set, I'll maybe have like, let's say 10 clips, and then there should be like a break, and then the next set of clips. To easily go through the project, I can just use this. This moves the box around.
So this is like a zoom
clips.
out in effect, and then
Effectively,
you can move around easily
yes,
like that.
yeah. So also, speaking of zoom, it's multi-gestural, this screen. So if I can go to my sample edit now, I can pinch and zoom just using this gesture here.
Very nice, very nice. Mate, yeah, it's a weapon.
Certainly is.
Yeah, it's...
I'm waiting for the Star Wars pun.
Well, yeah, you know, I thought about it and I was going to do it at the start, but I thought it's probably been done already.
Yeah.
So
I think ultimately with the Force, it's a case of, because there's so
you've
many
either got it or you haven't. Got it in there.
I've definitely got it because this is mine.
Yeah, there you go.
So, because there's so many workflows at play, it can be, you know, many things to, like I say, many different kinds of producers or anyone, you know, who makes music in that kind of live improvising way, because you've got so many ways of being creative.
Yeah.
You know, it's a case of how you choose to approach it, because ultimately there's going to be a workflow that suits you. And also with this clip launching matrix, tracks can happen really, really fast, and it's just really intuitive.
Yeah. Well, mate, yeah, thank you so much for talking us, well, me and everybody else for it. I mean, I hope that this has been helpful, because I know with stuff like this, a lot of people, you know, who might feel like, I'd really like to sort of dig into one of them one day, but I wouldn't know where to start, and, and you know, almost a bit intimidated by this kind of stuff. So hopefully, you know, because I mean, you did obviously make it look really easy, but it's not that complicated, is it? I mean, it's not, you know, it can be as complicated as you want it to be.
Yeah.
So
I mean, for example, just one way of looking at that is, you know, I mentioned the custom project mode. I mean, that's a very deep level of mapping, or it can either not be a deep level of mapping. And in terms of the matrix, it's a case of, let's say, for example, the progressions mode doesn't suit me. You know, let's say I have a more formal musical training. I'll know that, you know, C minor, once I've got used to my piano going in this direction, that works for me just jamming out ideas.
Yeah.
You know, let's say, for example, I'm a guitarist. I can just use this for maybe just more rhythm elements. So I can throw in some samples, I can create some drum loops, and using my guitar, my bass, I can layer my, you know, melodic ideas over the top.
Yeah.
Or similarly, if I have a synth player, you know, and again, I can have this as a great production hub. You know, you can run, you know, various types of synths or, you know, microphones in it, and it's all in situ in the studio.
Yeah.
And also, you know, for DJs as well, like we mentioned earlier, it can be a great addition to, you know, a live rig using obviously the standard 2 media players and the mixer. Yeah, this could be part of the whole setup in terms of adding just different flavors if you're more into the live remixing side of things, where you want to throw in stems.
Yeah.
Particularly what I've seen this being used for a lot is just throwing vocal loops
Mm-hmm.
over the top of, let's say like some breakdown sections.
Yeah.
And the cool thing is, again, we can apply the kind of DJ aesthetic to it using the crossfader.
Of course.
And, just it can be whatever you want it to be.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, mate, yeah, it's a beaut. Thanks very much for bringing it in, man.
No worries, man.
Always nice to see you.
Yeah. And it's not snowing today.
Yeah, thank God. Yeah. Matt Reay, ladies and gentlemen, with the Akai Force. Thanks for watching.